Hello everybody and welcome back to the coding of our malware in C. So what we did by now is we only created the actual server that is going to accept the connection from our target, and we also created a part of it in a while true loop that is going to send the command that we want to execute on a target system to the target. So before we begin with the actual malware, let's take a look once again at the server. So right here I will open it up from the actual folder. It is opened up in Notepad in this case, and right here you can see our server. So we simply just imported some libraries. We created a main function right here. Let's go through it real fast. So we created some variables that we're going to need: the sock, the client socket. We created the variables from the structure sock address in, such as server address and client address. We set up our socket object right here. We also set up our server address. We actually gave different objects and different parameters to our server address, such as, for example, af_inet for IPv4. We gave the IP address that is going to listen for incoming connections, which is our Kali Linux IP address, and we also gave some port. Now, keep in mind that this port has to be free in order for you to use it. If this port isn't free on your system, make sure that you actually choose another free port. Then we perform the actual bind of the socket with the server address. Then we also listen for the incoming connections, and then we accept the connection and store the data into the client address. We communicate with the actual target over the client address or over the client socket. So you will see right here we have the client socket. Let me just see. And once we actually receive the connection, you can see that we receive it from the client socket into a variable called response. So our while true loop simply just performs some tasks, such as it checks for the input of the command. If the command is equal to Q, it will terminate the actual connection right here by breaking out of the loop. And if it is equal to clear, it will simply just clear our screen before sending the actual command to the target. And I explained why we need to clear our screen before actually sending it to the target. In case it is anything else, besides the actual Q and clear command, we actually then simply just send it to the target with this command, and then we receive for the response or the result of that command using the MSG wait all option in the receive function. Okay, so this is our actual server. Now let's start off with our malware. So I'll open up my terminal right here. We need to go to the desktop first and then see programs and nano malware.c. Simple as that. Okay, so first of all, what we're going to do right here is we're going to actually import some of the libraries that we're going to need for this actual program to work. So we are going to do the same thing from the previous actual program. We're going to import them right here at the beginning. So we use the hash to import and then the word include, and after it the name of the library between these two pointy brackets. So the first one that we're going to need is stdio.h. Then we are going to need stdlib. Now we're going to perform the importation of all of these libraries right now, so we don't have to import it later, just as we did in the actual server. So the next one we need is the unistd.h include. We're also of course going to need another socket libraries for the Windows, and in this case the library is called winsock2.h. Now you will see that some of these libraries that we're importing right now are going to need a special command in the actual compilation to exe, and you will see just in case the next library that we're going to import is windows.h. Now we're importing all of these Windows libraries because we're creating a malware for Windows, and we're going to have to actually perform an API entry to the Windows and then perform the actual connection to the target or to the actual attacker PC. And you will see right here we are going to need winuser.h include wininet, which is the one that we are going to need to perform the connection with the Kali Linux machine, and this one we're going to need to actually perform the connection over the Windows to our attacker machine. And right here the next one that we're going to need is windowsx.h. The next one that we used previously is string.h for the string actual manipulation which we will need in this actual program. And you will see I already have a pre-made function that we are going to copy paste to this program that I will explain why we need it, but let's wait until we get to that. For now on, let's simply just import what we need. The next thing that we need is sys/stat.h, and the next one that we need is sys/types.h. Okay, so these are all of the actual libraries that we're going to need for our malware program to work in Windows. And another thing we want to do, since the actual C programming for Linux and Windows differentiate a little bit, we want to actually use the B0 function that we used. Let me just show you that we used in our server. You will see that we used it actually a lot. Let me just go right here, the B0, here it is, the B0 from the buffer, the B0 for the response. We want to use that function as well in our malware C program. But in actual Windows C programming, this function is not usable, it doesn't work, therefore we need to actually define it and create it. And how we can do that is, instead of B0 in the actual Windows, we have a function that is similar or actually equal to the B0 in Windows, and it is called memset. And the memset, instead of 2 parameters such as B0, takes 3 parameters. The first one is the actual variable. Let me just go right here. So open 2 brackets. The first one is the variable, and the second one is 0, and the third one is the actual size. And then you close the 2 brackets, and as you can see right here, we don't really want to bother with this actual command all the time. Therefore, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually define this actual function, which is usable in Windows, to be usable in as a B0 as well. So we will define our own function. We can do that simply just by typing hash right here and then define, and then we are going to call it B0. We need to specify 2 parameters. The first one will be the actual variable, and the second one will be the size, such as the actual original B0 we used in the server program. And we want to specify right after it the actual function that is going to be translated into this B0 function. So we can see right here, we're going to call it void because it doesn't really return anything. And the function that we are going to use in order to define B0 is memory set. Open 2 brackets and simply just type the same thing as previous. 0, and then the last parameter will be size. And you will see that right now we will be able to use this function that is going to take these 2 parameters out of the memory set function, which is good. Okay, so basically that would be about it for this tutorial. We only just imported some libraries, and we also defined the B0 function that we're going to use in our program. So what we're going to do in next video is we are going to start with the API entry to the Windows and therefore perform the socket connection. So hope I see you there, and take care. Bye.